Hi, and welcome to Dirtbag Baseball Talk, everybody. Kirk again, and real excited about this episode for sure. So thank you for being with us, and thank you for watching it. And we're going to get right at it like you expect us to do. So I'm happy enough to have a guy by the name of Braun on with me today, and we're going to be talking about a product that he invented, why he invented it, why it's important for you to have as a baseball player, and how it works. So we're going to get right down to it, and it's called the Pure Torque. So Jay, great to have you on with me today. Thanks for coming and sharing your story with the Dirtbag Nation. And you know what? Let's get after it, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Kirk. I really appreciate it. Yeah,
always a pleasure to have guys like yourself with very unique and specific products that we really appreciate having. So let's go ahead and show them what it is, the Pure Torque, and share your story of how it came to be. And then I know you got the machine set up behind you. Show them how seamless it is and how it works, and we'll get at it. But it's a cool story, so go ahead and share it, brother.
Yeah, so you know, like we talked about, I'm a ex-college football player, played baseball in high school, always athletic. It drew me to fitness, and so I knew I wanted to do fitness and conditioning, and it's something that's kind of been a passion of mine, you know, since high school and growing up, and when it came to starting to educate people and teach people about like how to train properly, how to get focused, it's always foundations. It's whenever we're learning to do anything in sports, it's foundations. It's building a strong foundation, developing that foundation, and sort of going from there. And so when we're looking at sort of your squatting, your pulling, your pressing, your explosive motions, stuff like that, rotation, it always came down to how do I make this easier for my clients? How do I make it easier for my athletes? How do I simplify it? And something basic like trunk rotation always went from a handle. It's always end loaded and it's always swinging out here. And I just got a better feel for it. And I just felt more, and my clients responded more if we took a big ball and hugged this big ball and started pivoting around like this around the ball where the cable's has this somewhat guided pathway. And I'm like, all right, there's got to be a better way to do this. There's got to be a better way to deliver this. And so I started just honing through different versions of half of a bicycle tire on a 2x4. And I still have that thing with a bunch of molding putty on it and stuff. And then, all right, we got that done. Now let's put $5,000 into a 3D printed big wheel thing. And all right, we got that thing. And so there's a ton of money and and that thing came and it was 30 pounds. And it's like, all right, now I got to make it lighter. I got to make it smaller. I got to make it drop off some. And so my background now, and what I do now beyond training and strength coaching is also educating trainers on what do load profiles look like? How do you analyze exercise? And so going through that part of the foundational education of actual movement and exercise, and then how to apply load to the body, I was like, oh, the reason this feels so much better is because we're actually directly loading your trunk. And there's no device out there that's portable that actually directly loads your trunk. You have some straps and some belts where you have people wrap resistance in a belt form around your waist or around your shoulders. And you can do all the motions you can with swing mechanics or with pitch mechanics and stuff like that. But the resistance is so close to your body, it can never actually be loaded. And so when we created the Pure Torque, the whole idea is I can now have this thing that I can load through my trunk. I can actually get my trunk loaded, but the resistance is way out here. And that's where you need the resistance to be for there to actually be any resistance. Holding 50 pounds of weight next to your hip in your hand isn't that hard. Put the thing out to your side 4 feet and see how 3 feet, see how well you do. So the whole idea is that you need distance in order for there to be resistance. And anything that's out there, especially for something like rotational sports like baseball, anything that's out there that has distance to it is also distally loaded. So it's about end loading your wrists. It's about end loading your hands. You have to go through your wrists, elbows, and shoulders before you ever even get the load to your trunk. And so what I realized, and this big gap that was missing, then anything on the other side, conversely, anything on the other side that's proximally loaded, anything that's proximally loaded is right up against your body. And so you need 60 pounds of yank in order to get any kind of resistance through your hips or through your shoulders, because that cable's got to run right off your pec or right off or right off your shoulder. And so it just doesn't work. And so it was like, well, we can make this thing, and we can kind of meet right in the middle, and we can develop this great foundational trunk strength where you have all these athletes with these really strong legs, and you got everybody that's got really strong wrists and hands. And it's always hilarious, like shaking hands with a baseball player, and it's like, oh yeah, I gotta loosen myself up to get ready to go and sink that handshake in and hope my hand doesn't get broken. And so you have all these guys with these powerful wrists and powerful legs, and no equipment that's designed to actually load the trunk properly. Tons of things can load your trunk, but none can do it properly. And that's the whole deal. Is it's like, how do I get all the translation from all the power I can generate through my hips? How do I get it out to my hands without there being breakdowns all the way up through that kinetic chain? And this is the thing that solves that. And it's one of those things where it's like, who's to say, it's fascinating because as baseball has evolved, and as I'm 46 years old. When I first started playing baseball, there was no such thing as lifting for baseball players. No, you can't lift because you get big and slow. And then once they started adding lifting in, it was like, okay, this is actually you can actually swing the bat faster. You can actually move faster. You can do a lot of stuff. That's great. Now, what happens is, let's start destabilizing some things. Let's start getting people off balance to train their core. Let's bring this other world of training into this sport. And we're starting to see, over the past 6 years, I've never seen so many sports hernias, ruptured obliques, torn lats, pulled rib cages, all of this stuff that's associated with core training. And then people are doing more core training, but none of the core training they're doing is actually and effectively loading their trunk. Everything is just still being either distally loaded, where you have something in your hands, or you're throwing a heavy medicine ball against a wall. Again, it's distally loaded. Nothing's really taking that load and putting it into your trunk. Yeah. So that's where this came from, and the need for it I saw in this sport.
For sure. A couple of questions that come to my mind right off the bat is, one, you spoke earlier on about when you started it. It was basically, from what I understand, a metal mold product. Yeah. And what is it now? What have you got it ground down to now?
Yeah. So it's die cast aluminum. All right. And it comes in a couple parts, and we assemble it and stuff like that. It's under 4 pounds or under 5 pounds. So it's about 4.8 pounds. So it's nice and light. It's mobile. What's really cool about the mechanics of it are the shearing force, the force that you're going to get around this device is through this leash. So as long as this leash can hold the resistance, and we've had it up over 150 to 200 pounds of band resistance, and in some cases we got over 180 pounds of mass-based resistance pulling into rotation. As long as you can stabilize this device against your thorax or against your rib cage, you can translate all that force straight to your trunk, all that load. And a lot of it, from a strengthening standpoint, might be what you're looking for. From a coaching standpoint, might not be what you're looking for. And then from a prepping standpoint, might not be what you're looking for. And so one of the things that's awesome about it is you can use it as a strengthening tool, a coaching tool, in teaching that sort of disassociation of your hips and trunk, and also as a prep tool, getting ready, before you're going to hit the cages or before you're even going to go up to an at bat, go ahead and prime all of your trunk rotators and get everything as active as you can get it before you address the plate.
Yeah, that's really important that you say that too, Jason, for sure. Just so, Dirtbags, that the big buzz phrases and it's real, but we don't really understand it because we just hear it in clinics. We hear it in sessions, as we always do. And that's why it's so important to have like Jason and Jay and these great minds in the business that can really bring it down to our baseball terms from the medical terms. But we're always hearing about, like you just said, Jay, separation, hip, shoulder separation, whether you're a pitcher or a hitter. And I think that's what you were just diving into right there. You can actually create that. A couple things now. You're obviously in your fitness studio and stuff like that, in the gym right now. So that's one way of using it. I know you've also expressed to me that, like you just said, you could have it set up with cables, and you could use it right at the field as well.
Yeah, we have bands, and you can use any bands with it whatsoever. But I mean, it's one of the greatest adoptions into the training world has just been, for me and the ones we sell have this sort of nylon covering to eliminate the fray. But just being able to go out to the cage and one end on the fence and the other end on your pure torque. And, it's great to see a lot of kids out there doing some version of rotator cuff stuff, doing some version of rotational stuff with bands. But yeah, this thing hooks to a fence, and then, as much as that fence can withstand, you're good to go. And then the other thing that's really great about fences is you can play with angles. And so if you want to create some sort of a downward slope at the initiation of your swing or something like that, if you want to work through that range there, if you want to work through, and I haven't heard many coaches promote the uppercut in their swing, but there's a component where you can play at any angle. So if you're feeling or you're seeing some sort of gap in an athlete's swing or in one of your people's swings or something like that, you can mess with the angle a little to sort of hone in that pattern if need be. Yeah, and you're able to eliminate those arms. And it's really one of the things with teaching is the second we have, unfortunately, our hands are way at the end of our body. And so all the attachment for all our devices really comes all out here. And so once you can sort of eliminate that, you can focus the person on just actually working through, okay, so when I'm loading my swing, I'm actually bringing this back and I'm keeping my hips here and then I'm snapping over. Okay, I got you. When you can actually put that with some load and actually get some resiliency behind that trunk motion, it's a game changer.
Yeah, for sure it would be. And I think that's important to talk about it, stuff like that. And you can talk about it here, or you can talk about it while you're doing it on the machine if you want, Jay, just to show them some of the exercises or ways to do it. But I think it's super important in your mind, exactly what you're talking about when you talk about the trunk. But for the audience out there, the listeners, what are you specifically? You're not talking about the abs. And I think that's a disconnect that gets caught in this.
Correct.
Core, building your core. Really, what are you talking about when you say your core?
Yeah, for us when we teach, I mean, your core starts sort of thigh, so it's knees to shoulders kind of thing. And so this whole area is going to be your core, because everything that happens through here muscularly needs to be grounded with all of this stuff. And that's the whole problem is, and the main thing that's being pulled away when I talked about the whole idea of these sports hernias and pulled lats and ribcage issues and stuff, the amount of force, the amount of ground force that you can cleated drive through your lower body, and then the amount of force you can throw in your hands, and then when you're going through your swing and you're cranking through and you have that great dissociation, you have that whip. You want to be able to transfer as much of that ground force up into your hands as you can. And if you have a bunch of power leaks where you have a trunk that's not used to training with actual load, where the actual load you have in your hands is maybe, at heaviest, like a 15 or 20 pound medicine ball that you're whipping here. It's like, okay, well, what if you took away the need for that shoulder and arm stuff? And what if you just trained by loading, 40 or 50 pounds of band resistance, and we're able to sort of create that same thing, except the whole time you're training, the whole time you're going through your rotation, you're getting resistance that entire time. The second I grab a medicine ball and throw it against the wall, I'm only getting resistance at the beginning, and my body's just along for the ride for the rest of it. And for the initiation of your rotation, sure, that might be fine. That I'm not saying don't do that. That can be a component of your training. But if I want to get some actual contraction and actual strengthening through this full range of rotation, I want something that's going to deliver me some load that the whole way. So it's why when it comes to rotational sports, it has to be a necessity, because it's a part of training that there's a huge gap in when it comes to sports training. And fortunately for me, there's nothing else that does it. That's the only thing that does it. Pure Torque's the only portable device that's loading your trunk to the degree that it can actually be resilient and take that load.
Yeah. Yeah, and just so one final point on that, Dirtbags, is the fact that, don't we see everything from the front because our mouths are on the front, around the front side of our body or whatever not. But if Jay was to turn around, he's actually getting activation and stimulation on the backside as well. So it's literally the big muscles like he talked about, from the knees to the armpits, that are being involved in this, front side and backside. And that's a huge missing component in this game of baseball. Is we love our beach muscles, don't we, Jay? We love to see our beach muscles, but players,
that's what they pay you for.
Yeah. And they really don't pay you for you when you really understand it. It's your backside muscles have to be as strong as your front side muscles. So like you said, that body doesn't start tearing apart and flying in different ways and different strengths, and it's unbalanced. So just to understand that as well.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing we're most excited for when it comes to baseball, and, as you talk about backside, we'll go ahead and give the fans what I know they've been asking for from the second we got on here is, let's see this guy's backside. I know that's the goal, but one of the things we're just super psyched for is this pure priming sequence thing where it's all right before I pick up the bat and I go into the cage, or before I pick up the bat and go up to plate, when I'm in that on deck circle, or maybe down in the dugout, the idea of, it's not all about loading your swing side. It's about priming your load side of your swing. And when I say that is, I'm a lefty. And so my load side is into left rotation. And one of the things that goes on when we're doing this is, so here I am, I got I play slow pitch softball now, so it's a 30-ounce bat. I mean, I don't need to be quick anymore. I can be as quick as I want to be and generate a whole truckload of force. But my load side is right here, and it's all about just loading that trunk, disassociating, keeping my hips quiet, keeping my hands quiet, and I'm just closing down that shoulder, just priming. I'm pulling back that pinball machine. I'm drawing back that hammer, just ready to attack. And so one of the cool things that we can do, and we have a cool pure priming video on our YouTube page, but the whole idea is, I want to get a little bit of resistance into my load side and be nice and slow and controlled, and really wake up every muscle in every direction that's pulling me back into that load side, and actually really driving my rib cage down and really getting this nice and tight, so that everything that's pulling me into that direction, the guys on the other side that are going to take me out of it, they're getting lengthened. They're getting ready to go. Everybody's awake, ready to attack. And so what we'll do is we'll get our athletes, and we'll get 3 or 4, just 5 to 6 second contractions, holding that isometric 3 or 4 times, and then turn around to swing side. And then once you get here, let's see it. Let's snap that out. All right. And now put your pure torque down, go grab your bat, hop in the cage, and see how it goes. And we're seeing a lot better guys stay down through the zone. Some guys say they can feel that they're swinging the bat faster. We're getting cleaner contact. But really, every coach that we've done it with has said the main thing I'm seeing is these 4 or 5 guys who are front side open, trying to find how far the ball landed after contact, trying to look up and see where, see if they made it into the stands. He said these 4 or 5 guys, that's what they do. After they did that, they stayed down through the zone and stayed close to that, through that swing stance for longer than I've seen them do it in the past. And I've been with these guys for multiple years.
Yeah, and now Dirtbags. That's what again, like every product that we have on here, if we're going to share it or recommend it, it's because it really is a self-training tool. You can have a coach if they understand it, but you don't need them. It's going to give you that instant feedback. It's going to allow your mind to feel it, understand right and wrong, and make those self-corrections. So exactly right, because at the end of the day, it's you alone in the batter's box. It's you alone on the pitcher's mound. We can all cheer and encourage you everything we want to do, but at the end of the day, it's you. And if you don't mentally understand it, as you know, we always talk about here, if you don't mentally understand how to physically do it, you're already beat.
Yeah. And the thing with athletes, right? And the thing with baseball players, and everybody's got their own swing. Every basketball player's got their own jump shot. There is a sequence where you can maximize the potential of whatever you have, but it's based on what that person has and what their swing does. The great thing with the pure torque is it doesn't matter what your swing looks like. we're not even concerned with your swing. What we're concerned with is all the muscles that are going to generate and transmit force from your lower body to your upper body. Whatever you are bringing to the table that day is going to be ready to go. And that's the best you can get. And so it doesn't have to mess with your swing at all. You don't feel any differently when you're swinging. Everything just snaps into focus because all that stuff has been honed through years and years and years of throwing your hands and of going through that repetitive motion. Now all we're doing is we're maximizing everything that gets brought to the table for that swing or for that series of swings for you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Where do they go? Where do they get their hands on the Pure Torque, Jay?
Yeah. So getpuretorque.com is our website, and we have some cool information, some cool EMG stuff we did with it. And then our socials, our Instagram's fairly active, and that's at Get Pure Torque. And then our YouTube page is where we have a bunch of our instructional videos, which is the Pure Torque YouTube page. So those are directions. And then I think I have one post on Twitter. I get
You're like us with Twitter. We're not Twitter boys or whatever.
Who knows?
We want to come right to you, dirtbags. You know that. We know you expect it. You want it from us. And again, it's like we always say, tell you what you need to hear, not always what you want to hear. But it's the honest, it's the truth, and you can trust us on it. So just like everybody else, man, Jay's got a winner here. He's got a winner in this product, genius of a mind, really understands it, can talk on the medical side of things or whatever and that, but he can bring it down.
Keep going.
He can, yeah, exactly. And that's important to us. You know that. That's important that they can speak in baseball language. So, you know what, we thank Jason for introducing us to Jay. And now, hey, you're part of the nation, Jay. Welcome aboard.
Nice.
and hope you can stay with us. And certainly if you have questions, just like Jason, send them out to us. I'll be in touch with Jay and we can expand on it. But hey, you know what? Go to puretorque.com, check it out, study it more, go to their YouTube page, like Jay said, and do the research. And you know what? Anytime it can be a self-training tool, self-feedback tool that you can use for multiple stages, like Jay said, for actually strengthening, but also pre-movement prep, man, got to be a winner. Got to be a winner. And the best person to know whether it's doing the right job is you yourself personally. And this product's going to allow you to do that. So, Jay, anything last minute you want to get out to them or?
No, it's been a pleasure, Kirk. Just glad to talk shop. I mean, it's like you said, it's what gets us excited is, talking baseball, talking training.
Definitely.
We're all about it.
Sure. And you'll get a surprise when you check out the website too. One of his football clients, it's a big user of it. You got to do the research. I'm not going to give the name away. You go ahead, you go on to puretorque.com and you'll see it. So, but hey, it's only a matter of time, until exactly right. It's going to take off exponentially on the baseball side because it's a product that works. So, Jay, thank you very much for coming on with us, sharing it.
My pleasure.
Stay true to yourself. Stay true to the Pure Torque, as I know you will, brother. And you know what? Come back any single time you want to come because it's been a pleasure having you, and I enjoy every conversation that we have. So, until next episode, Dirtbags, you know what time of the week it is. It's time to get up, get after it, and get dirty. There you go.
All right, cool. Thanks, man. It was great.
No problem.
Awesome.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. I mean, yeah, it's a slow moving thing. And like Jay and I talk about or whatever, and we're in a cycle right now. And I'll be going to ABCA in Chicago there in January or whatever. And I always I just like walking around and seeing the people that I know and certainly reaching out to if there's somebody like yourselves or whatever. And not that they have a product that looks interesting or just good guys is fun. But man, right now it just seems like it's all about the loudest man in the room.
Yeah.
And we got to break that, dude.
Well, it's the problem, and just because it's the way the fitness industry is, and I mean, and it's I might have used this analogy before. I use it with basically everybody. This one of the trainers that one of my other teachers, instructors, he said, the fitness industry is if you picked your dentist by whoever had the nicest teeth. That's what it is.
You
And
did.
it's like, well, look, you got nice teeth. You're going to be my dentist. and unfortunately, it's me going up to Gary Sheffield to ask him about how he got bat speed. How do I get your bat speed, Gary Sheffield? What did you do to train? What did you do to train? That's what it gets asked. And so Gary Sheffield will come out with his bat speed clinic, and it's like there's just genetically gifted, handed down, and it's funny because the head of RTS, this guy Tom Purvis,
Yep.
Who Jason and I sort of got a bunch of our advanced education from, because again, all the guy does is go, look, you can throw all the nonsense out the air. This is the physics of what's happening. This is the load. These are the joints that are working, blah, blah, blah. And he was like Mr. Oklahoma bodybuilder and went to Venice Beach. And he's like, I would sit there and we'd be working out in Venice Beach and be all day long and all these just jack guys. And he's like, if the UPS guy came in and had big calves, at least half the guys in the rooms that didn't have big calves would go ask that UPS driver, how'd you get your calves?
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, who the hell? Like, and so it's just, and the problem is at some level, you can be so athletically gifted, it doesn't matter what you do.
Yes.
And so it's the guy who sells the most, watching a Jordan work out with his trainer, Tim Grover, and is the worst trainer I've ever seen in my life. The worst lifting technique ever. Terrible lifting. Across the board, it like some of it was like an abomination to weight training. But it's Michael Jordan. And so whatever, he's going to be able to overcome whatever idiot plan you put in front of him. Watching JJ Watt flip truck tires and hit things with sledgehammers and stuff. No, there's more effective ways, but he's freaking JJ Watt. So that's what people are going to do.
Yeah. It's funny you said Sheffield, though. Like, man, now that, correct me if I'm wrong, his body and setup would basically be like the pure torque in a sense.
Well,
like he torqued his body.
Oh yeah, it's but what's so crazy is it's like, if you just stripped away everything and just showed his batting stance, that not one hands all over the he was just a coiled boil, just a coil of energy, just ready to just attack the ball.
Yeah,
and it was the most violent and aggressive swing you're ever going to see.
Yeah,
most 80% of people would just strike out 1,000 times in 1,001 at bats and maybe make contact once. But for some reason, this guy could orchestrate all of it and come up with the cleanest, just flattened out, and just as quick as possible. The ball snap and it's gone, and it's just absolute rockets and never miss a barrel or anything like that.
Yeah,
and it's just insane to watch.
You're right. And it is a trained thing. For sure it's trained. I mean, he was allowed to do it and he did it. And like your brain eventually takes over and makes those self-corrections, even though we don't always realize it's doing that. I use that analogy of the Tiger Woods swing type of thing, right? Like the old story of 2 years old, daddy said, grip it and rip it. And I said, and I use that all the time. I'll be using it tonight at a clinic I'm putting on. And say, just stop and think about that for a second. Most people would be terrified of that. But when you think about that, you're honestly allowed to continue doing it. Freedom, no overcoaching, just understand it and feel it. I said, eventually your brain is going to make those corrections. Sure, you're going to swing so hard, you're going to pull your head off and miss it. You're going to have that but you're going to figure it out and say, I either quit this isn't fun, or what am I doing wrong? And you're always going to be correcting. And I was like, son of a bitch, like that totally makes sense. So I said, why not let that happen? Because I said, at the end of the day, what's the one thing we all want to do in baseball if we play baseball? From hitting standpoint, just hit a home run, right?
Home run, yeah.
How the hell? Just hit the ball, Jay. Just hit the ball, Jay. Are you shitting me? Just hit the ball, Jay.
Right.
Jay's 14 and he plays against guys that are going to throw him out all the time. Jay's like Kirk. He's running down to first. He's going, yeah, Kirk, yeah, just hit the ball. This is fun getting thrown out every single time. I want to rip their head.
Yeah, I coached my son's 13, 14 select team. One of the coaches, and it's hilarious because it's just the point they've just started pitching from a mound.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to be ultra selective in this, just holding back and I'm waiting for my pitch kind of thing. And meanwhile, these umpires this not that major league caliber is great, but these guys aren't practicing, or they're not ump pros. And so these kids are getting called out on just, and I'm sitting there, and after every game, I'm like, you've just got to stop handing your at bats. You only get 4 a game. Stop handing them to the umpire. It's a terrible call. And so we do so we'll do BP, and it's like, look, this is 2 strike. You're just going to see 2 strike pitches for the next 10 pitches. And I'll just be lobbing these things outside, up and away. And these kids are watching. I'm like, that's a strike 3, but it's not a strike. I'm like, well, guess what? You had 2 strikes to start with. Now you just have to swing at everything. I'm sorry, but you have to extend at bats. You have to spoil pitches. It's all about spoiling pitches. Just see more, see another one. And then, of course, we get done with that. First kid goes up there, watches strike 3 go by, and comes back and tells me it was a ball. And I'm like, I wish I could choke you, but I can't.
It's always the battle I had. So I started changing it to this. And I know the first 2 pitches are selective, but and more college or pro, especially not a Canadian and a US mentality.
Yeah.
And that's why they love the islands. I tell the kids, I tell the parents straight away. I said, 2 problems. We don't have enough chaos in our practices like a game does. A game is chaotic.
Right.
But we're quiet. I'm talking quiet. No, a game's not like that. Practice like a game. Practice with chaos and stuff like that. Practice with all those things. I said, those Islanders and everywhere else, they have a swing at everything mentality. If I can hit it, I'm pounding the piss out of it. And I said, and that's why scouts ultimately love them. They love them. Yeah. Because they can teach them now to be selective. North America, it's like, oh my God, they're all looking for walks. I can't take this. I'm losing my mind, right? So that's the one thing I say to them. But then I go, okay, if you're a better player, and a little bit more advanced, I'll start going with them. And I'll say, okay, strike 1 is your home run pitch. 0 strikes on you, home run pitch. Don't swing at one of your dits or your knees if you don't want to or whatever. And that, because you probably fly out or ground out. You're giving your at bat away because you still have, teach them about the 3 strikes, even though they know it. And I said, 1 strike, sure, mid thigh to belly button, all across the plate, where you can still pound the hell out of that ball all over the field. Right. But I said, 2 strikes. It's 2 strikes, but it's dog on a bone. You're a dog on a bone. By God, you're going to battle everything, right? And you almost got to put pitchers in their head, because then the kids like it's like, oh yeah, dog fighting on a bone. You're right. Hey, bam. And then if they don't do it, hey, dog on a bone. Oh yeah, you're right, coach. And again, you're right. We all get, as coaches, we get frustrated and excited or excited. But we can't show that, right? That's a killer. That's a killer, right? They already know it, the same as we know it, right? If we were there,
of course, yeah.
I don't need to look at mom and dad and see disappointment. I don't need to look at my teammates or my coaches and see disappointment. Hey, you know how to fix it. Dog on a bone. Okay. Yep. Yeah. I didn't do that. I wasn't a dog on a bone. That's because exactly right.
Yeah. You definitely can't bring it with you out into the fields.
No.
That's for sure.
And going to pitching only at college, like really pitching. I hardly did any of it before that. Man, I was an island unto myself. It was, our assistant coach was an All-American middle infielder. And so he read Nolan Ryan and Tom House at the time and tried the very best he could, right? But he didn't know how to be in my head to help me survive tough situations so exactly right. Just like everybody else under a good game, hey, you don't think so much. You're just doing and you're in the moment having fun. When it's not a good game, you're just holy my head. And I know everybody else's. So that's how I talk to them. I talk to them exactly that. So I said, I'm going to give you a little secret. When I'm pitching to you and you're a dog on a bone with 2 strikes and you're fouling me off, that's crucifying to me. That is just messing with me. Because now I'm hating you for being so good at fouling me off. Yeah. But I'm not even thinking about where I'm throwing the next pitch. I just want to throw it over the damn plate and get you out.
Right. Yeah.
So you won your at bat. Even though I got 2 strikes on you, you actually won your at bat back.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Jay, kids are smart. and they get that. They get it.
Yeah.
And the first time they do it and you say, there you go, Johnny, he goes, you're right, coach. You were right. And they will never forget, and they will, or at least the next time they do let a strike 3 go or whatever, it's just, hey, you're good. You're good. Dog on a bone. You're right, coach. Good. Because I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna work it in. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything like that you want or whatever, pictures or whatever, reach out anytime. I'm happy to send you some documentation that I got and things like that. And I really do go by less is more.
Yeah.
Less is
cool.
more. And I know because of the YouTube world, people are on it all the time. Jay, I need 5 hitting drills tonight for practice because we got to do something different. Kirk, I need Jay to tell me back, Kirk, you're an idiot. Our guys don't even have ground force. They don't have balance, stability in their swing, and you're wanting them to worry about hitting outside pitches or whatever it is. They don't even have a swing yet.
Yeah.
So 5 drills makes us look good to the parents, but it doesn't do anything for the kids.
Yeah.
So
yeah, keep it simple, right?
Because that's what it is at the end of the day, right? Run, hit, punch, and throw.
It's great. It's fun.
Yeah, for sure it is. But yeah, anytime, brother, anytime. And if they send questions, I'll forward them to you and send it on.
Yeah, whatever you need. This would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to have.
And then forward me the link if you can, that I could put like whatever you're putting up there. So I'll just repost it onto my socials. Yeah. And then and get it out that way. And then if I have a couple people that aren't following you yet, they can get in board.
For sure. You'll be on Facebook, for example, 2 ways under Jay Braun and Pure Torque.
Yeah, you have two Facebook accounts, which I can't quite figure out. I feel bad. I'll respond to people, but it'll be from me and not from Pure Torque. And like Facebook's not very clean about like how that integration happens.
Yeah. And that's the consistency in the message, right? That's what I found out too. So that's why I really just do the Instagram, and even Instagram, because of being Facebook now, they changed it over the IGTV. They've changed it over the last month too, or whatever. And that, so I put it up on Twitter or whatever, but I really don't care what happens on the Twitter part of it because I've got it. But Facebook and Instagram, I do for sure. So I'll make sure I tag you on those, so then you can just share it, and it'll have just a picture, just like us. They can click on it and start watching and go from there.
Great, man. This has been awesome. Thanks so much.
So if you just want to send me a picture of yourself, the Pure Torque logo and the product, and I'll add it. You should
have those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have those. Yeah, I sent those over about a couple hours ago.
Oh, awesome. Okay, good.
Yep.
Perfect. I'll put them into a picture and stuff like that, and we'll get it, and we'll get rolling with it.
All right, man.
Yep, sounds good, brother.
Thanks a bunch, Kirk.
Be safe.